Now, with AI assistance and some of the technology that's being built right now today and being implemented in companies, you don't have to be there anymore. That gap between what the business needs and what the business has in their technology is what we call tech debt. If you've used ChatGPT, you're starting to understand what us wizards that have been sitting behind curtains pulling the knobs and levers have really been up to. It's not that we knew some secret magic. In fact, all we knew how to do was to talk to the computer. I know how to tell it to do what I want it to do. And when you sit down with ChatGPT and you say, write a sentence that does this, or write me a book that does this, or write this, you're doing the same thing. It's just now the computer speaks the language that you understand instead of you having to speak the language it understands.
Welcome back for another edition of the Tech Visionary Show. I'm Rich Bontrager, your host once again, and great to have you back here to get into another conversation with a visionary leader to helping to forge us further and further into the future. And of course, each and every week, we are having conversations with amazing leaders and visionaries, and it's all brought to you by Drake. So we thank them for being the sponsor. But today we're going to get into another conversation about technology and where it's expanding, where it's going. And one of the biggest buzzes right now is artificial intelligence. So today we're going to go a little bit deeper into that area of AI. Christian Hammer, a technological executive, serial entrepreneur, and a fine artist, brings over 30 years of diverse expertise to his role as the chief executive officer of Vala AI. We're going to get into that here today a lot, I'm sure. His career includes influential positions at the global giants such as Nike, Appnexus, Maersk, and Wayfair, where he's spearheaded digital transformation, pioneered the creation of the direct-to-consumer businesses. He's been in the business for over 30 years. So once again, welcome to Tech Visionary Show.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to get into it.
You've been in this for 30 years, and I want to maybe stress that a little bit because it's changed so rapidly in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Briefly capsulize, what have you seen are the big points that we need to reflect and remember that we've changed so much?
Oh, wow. There's a great many of them. I mean, if you think back to 1992, before the World Wide Web existed like it does today, before we had browsers, you had to go to the library to get an encyclopedia to find out about basically anything, right? You were back in the stacks digging through books trying to find something out. And within just a few years of the browser being created, all of human knowledge was all of a sudden accessible to everybody. Yeah. That was the first major thing that just absolutely transformed the world. The second was the interconnected aspect of our lives. You can talk to somebody, interact with them like we're doing right now, real time, any point on the globe, free. It used to be like a long distance call, or you'd have to send a letter, right? Send a postcard to your grandma in Toledo, Ohio. You were at a distance of time and there was a delay, and that's gone. And the final, I think, really came with these. Now all that knowledge, that communication, that all of human experience is right here in your pocket everywhere you go.
Well, and then you jump in the new world that we're experiencing with artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. The mechanics behind it all is now growing, and it's growing. Let's start with this phrase I heard you say someplace, that you like the art of creation. What are we creating today? Because people don't see the art like you do behind the scenes, but we see the end result. So what is the art of creation really all about?
It's actually a great question because for me, I've always had a hard time describing why I can go from being a painter to a coder and seamlessly, or sitting down and building little robots like this because it's fun. When we've got all these amazing tools, we've got all this amazing technology surrounding us at all times, whether it's your computer or your phone or a paintbrush, these are things that just enable the human imagination to be put into the world. Because we've got thoughts, we've got ideas, we've got creativity just flowing out of us, hopefully. And now we have tools that enable us to do it simply. And so when I look at things like ChatGPT is probably not the one I'm thinking of first, but Midjourney, where I can go in and put in a text prompt and it can create something that I otherwise could have got out of here, even though I'm a very accomplished painter. That's amazing.
Yeah, which is very interesting to me. Is again, Canva and other places now are plugging in AI more and more. So you can literally say, build me a house with XYZ and 2 dogs in the front porch, and they will create you 4 options for it. Which, what is that going to do to other creatives? Are we going to infringe on their territory by having these tools and take away the real creative, the artist that does the pen, the paper, or is the two universes going to blend? Or what do you see happening with all this?
I think the argument is very similar to when photography came into the world, and illustrators and artists, painters, the people that would go into the world and would describe what they saw in the form of an image that would then get put into like a newspaper. A lot of those jobs went away because you had the camera, which did a better job of capturing that. And when it comes to creativity, I think that just because I've spent most of my life developing skills to paint doesn't mean I should have exclusive access to sharing my creativity with the world. I think people will crave it because they're going to look and see a proliferation of just stuff, just things being created, images pulled out of thin air, right? Seek out the real.
That's really good to hear, but that's where I stand. And then that's where I think is the virtual AI skins that we're seeing now and the deep fakes and all this stuff. I don't want to be replaced. I love what I do. I don't want a robot version of me, but some people are like, I love my robot version of me. So it's good to hear that you don't think it's going to go that direction, but it's going to come back, right?
Yeah, everything's a pendulum. We go hard one way and then we come back a distance back. But when it comes to, this is something that there's a negative side to all this transformation that I listed of having that phone with you and all that information and all that connectivity. You also can't escape it. You're always online. You're always connected. And the deep fake issue, the ability for fake stuff to get put out there causes people to seek out personal interactions. And I've tended to think of the computer itself, like I've got all these terminals behind me, right? As it's the tyranny of the terminal. Our careers and our lives got stuck in front of these devices. Our jobs became about filling these devices with information. Now, with AI assistance and some of the technology that's being built right now today and being implemented in companies, you don't have to be there anymore. You can be, I work remote. My whole team works remote. Right now, I'm still here, but very, very soon, because of this in my pocket, I can just tell it, hey, Vala, set up a meeting for X, build this technology, tell my team to go do this, and it can plan it out and build and do it for me. I don't have to be in the place at the machine doing it.
So you mentioned Vala. Vala AI is your company, CEO, founder of, great plug, really good transition. But your mission is to liberate human potential by redefining how enterprises navigate technological challenge. Break that down to human speak. What does that mean?
Quit speaking geek and say it for a human being. The simplest description I've ever come up with was this: that tyranny of the terminal problem. Humans are stuck in front of computers, filling it with information so the computer can do something for the business. And my career has largely been about trying to free humans from that by automating it. How much can we come in and do for you, right? But it's still not great. And you can't keep pace with the change the business needs to evolve. Market conditions, whatever, it needs to change rapidly. So we're always behind. We're always catching up. That gap between what the business needs and what the business has in their technology is what we call tech debt. And what we're doing is effectively erasing that technical debt. We're catching the business up.
So again, technical debt, it's about innovation, productivity, and you're trying to free human people up. But the question is going to come back, does that mean we also work out of a job, or is it still going to blend together where they still need us, but it's going to free us up to do bigger and greater things?
Free us up to do bigger and greater things. The limitations of our technology are pretty profound. I always use my wife as like the perfect example of this. She has advanced degrees. She's got a bunch of certifications. But when she gets hired by a company to come in and take that knowledge and that expertise and deploy it, to use it, to do something, what does she end up doing? Sitting at a computer, working on a piece of technology, putting information into it. The technology became a limiting factor, not an enabler. And that's what we're trying to flip that, is say, no, the technology is there to assist you. It's there to make you better, to help you when you need it, to be that information source you need, that tool that empowers.
Love it. We're going to have more conversation with Christian Hammer here today as we're getting into AI. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor that makes this show all possible. Here's By Drake.
To be the best in your industry requires speed to market and flawless implementation. And for that, you're going to need the right IT team. Meet Bydrake, your nearshoring partner for top IT talent in Latin America. With a talent pool of over 35,000 fully remote English-speaking Latin American developers available for long-term, full-time work, we take care of every step of your tech augmentation needs. From matching and pre-screening your ideal candidates to acting as the employer of record throughout their employment term, all for a fraction of the cost of hiring the same position in the US. Risk-free, no placement fees, no hiring obligations. When you're ready, we invite you to book a complimentary zero-obligation call with one of our customer success managers to see how we can fill your current or future IT openings today. Just go to bydrake.com/contact. That's BYDREC.com/contact. We can't wait to augment your tech team.
As we're going to get deeper into this whole idea of what's going on with AI. So the focus on addressing of architectural problem. We've been trying to build and scale by ourselves. People may even make their own programs. But you as a technological visionary creator yourself, what do you see as you build things? How do you see and build things? Because zeros and ones do nothing for me, but you make magical things happen. So what do you really see?
I think you have actually, if you've used ChatGPT, you're starting to understand what us wizards that have been sitting behind curtain pulling the knobs and levers have really been up to. It's not that we knew some secret magic. In fact, all we knew how to do was to talk to the computer. That's all coding is. I know how to tell it to do what I want it to do. And when you sit down with ChatGPT and you say, write a sentence that does this, or write me a book that does this, or write this, you're doing the same thing. It's just now the computer speaks the language that you understand instead of you having to speak the language it understands.
And that's the part I love about this, because I remember, go back in time with me, run this, go to that, all the DOS and all the things like that. But now we're literally able to speak it, do it. We're almost at the point of Star Trek. I mean, it's really getting that far along, which is fun. But I'm going to go back to what Vala is all about, because from my viewpoint, we've been duct taping things together with technological knowledge. It sounds like you're kind of undo the duct tape and make it more seamless, powerful with AI.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of people that are like me would initially said, the way to fix this problem is to help coders go faster, help them create more code quicker, generate code on the fly, right? You described the problem. We've built a lot of this stuff already. It exists. It's just forgotten about. It's no longer maintained. It's old, doesn't keep up with the technology of the day, whatever it is, right? That cruft comes in. And the problem is we don't really understand the technology and how it connects together. We just don't really know it. And it has to change. The business has changed. The people doing the job have changed. The industry they're in has changed. Maybe regulation came out. Maybe the customers demand something you didn't used to have. And because of that, you have to evolve the technology. But what happens when you don't understand what you've got? You can't. So the first thing that we have to be able to do is help them understand what they have. We described to you your entire technology landscape. Here you go. Here's what you've got. Now, what do you want it to do?
Okay, so sometimes we don't know what we want it to do because we don't know what we're capable of. We're coming to that nexus, I think, of what's a dream, what's reality, but it's moving so fast, we don't know what we're allowed to go for right now.
So there was this moment during the pandemic. I was at Wayfair and we had built out the system. So I was responsible for all their logistics, supply chain, technology org. And during COVID, our sales doubled. But like everybody else, we had nothing coming in, right? Factories were closed, ships weren't moving, right? Our shelves were getting empty rapidly because we were just in time, like everybody else. But we had the foresight to build this system called Lighthouse. I love telling this story because it's so silly if you're a technologist to look at it and go, really? That solved a multi-billion-dollar problem for Wayfair? And all it did is it was like a data dictionary. It was literally like flip open a dictionary and look up a word and go, oh, that's what that means. So that's all Lighthouse did, is it said, hey, you're looking for inventory. Here are the 4 places in systems that kind of look like what you're looking for. Are any of those what you're looking for? Now, the insight from that, though, was that the ops teams, the people that are not technologists, the ones that are usually pushing the buttons to make things happen.
End users. We're the end users.
The end users, when they had that information, when they understood how the technology actually worked and what it meant, were able to solve real problems in the world. They went out and said, oh, there's a container in the port of Long Beach because the customs clearing software tells me about it, and it's got this product in it that we need for customers. Let's send a driver out to go get it. So when you tear down the barrier between the technology and the information in it, you free up the humans to go do something about it. And so that's actually what Vala is doing, is we're just trying to tear down all those barriers from your technology so that you can act on it, so you can do the things you need to do to be successful.
So as I'm listening to you, I'm wondering what's one of the biggest challenges in the industry right now?
Yeah, there's a lot of ancient technology laying out there. Systems written in COBOL and Fortran, which I think the last living person that still wrote Fortran died last week. Not true. Anybody who's still a COBOL developer, I'm sorry.
I'll start Googling right now. You know that.
Yeah, they make great money though. But there's a lot of ancient technology, and we're having a generational transition right now where I think this year is the peak for baby boomers retirement. Mm-hmm. The biggest portion of them reach the age of 65 this year. And when you look at a lot of the industries that's going to impact, it's all these places where this knowledge is going to be lost, and that knowledge is critical for the business to survive. And that knowledge loss is the biggest industry problem across all industries right now.
So at the top of the show, I said you've been doing it for 30 years. We've seen amazing things happen, from floppy disks to that squeal of AOL, and we knew we were locked on. What are we going to see? Because it is speeding up rapid. How ready are we for what's coming, and what do you see coming?
I think it becomes more human. We've talked about that a little bit, where instead of the technology dictating your day, you are free to live your day, and the technology is along for the ride and is an assistant to you even more than it's a tool. There's been this moment of software dominance too, where if you interact with technology, you're interacting with a piece of software or an app. I think that's going to effectively disappear. Software as we know it today is gone.
So we're not buying disks anymore. We're not buying programs per se and uploading them to our system. It's going to be totally different.
Yeah, I mean, the first wave of that was like the SaaS model, the software as a service that a lot of businesses use. That was effectively one of the very early waves. Apps were kind of like that because you just install a new app and you do your thing. But as we move towards voice assistance and chat-based interaction with an AI agent, I don't need anything else. If I need a spreadsheet generated, I just say, ChatGPT, I need a spreadsheet with this data in it, and it generates a spreadsheet for me.
I'm not even going to go to T2 and, all that type of thing, because I think there's a fear for that. They think we're going to get sucked into that. But I want to say on the positive side. Now, I know you're a speaker, you're an author, you're doing amazing things. I know you got 2 books in the works right now. What's that all about?
Yeah. Well, because I've been doing it so long, I've seen these things happen. And we all go into it with our best intentions. Like the web as we know it today was created by people that were trying to change the world in a positive way, but there are always the unintended consequences of your actions. So the first book is called Fragile, and it's how software ate the world and then devoured itself. And it's talking about that exact fact that we've built technology runs everything today. So much so that when a single company that's responsible for security pushes a new release out, it can take down airlines and banks. Thank you, CrowdStrike. That's one company making one change. And we're all so interconnected today because of the way we build software and how much of it, how ubiquitous it's become, that it's become a threat to our society also. And so it's that, and then what we need to do to make it better. The second book is about the hurry up culture that came from this rapid disruption that we actually preach when we're doing startups.
Yeah.
And it's called Sprinting to Stand Still.
As an entrepreneur, I understand what you're saying. I can't wait to see both books come out, get released. By the way, we do want to mention Vala. Here's a link to the website. Make sure you scan the QR code. Go check out Vala. But What are they checking out there, Christian?
Well, right now we're in pre-alpha, so there's they're not using the application yet unless they're one of our design partners. But you can find out what we're working on and where we're going with it. And there's a lot of articles that we'll post and videos. Actually, the clips from this will show up there too. But what Vala is really, really about is solving that problem of getting technology out of the way, trying to make technology an enabler, not a hindrance, so that you can do your job. So I do a podcast called It's Techtastic. It's an intentionally optimistic view on technology's impact on society. So we talk to a lot of other founders. We talk about what we see coming and what we're doing to make it better. And then there's a second one I just started. So that just passed episode 100. The second one's called Be the Hammer, and it's just back scenes as we build Vala, showing every step of the way.
He's on top of it all. He's got the podcast, he's got the books. He's out there leading the way. You want to make sure you find him on LinkedIn and other places. Christian Hammer, thanks for taking the time to be on the Tech Visionary Show today.
Absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Tech Visionary Show, every episode, we are finding some of the best leaders, visionaries, pioneers of what's going on in the world in technology. And it's, as we said here today, it's ever changing rapidly. Make sure you subscribe and follow us and watch for us to be both in video version here, the streaming side, and of course the audio podcast as well. Thanks once again to Buy Drake for making it all possible here on the Tech Visionary Show. And until next time, I'm Rich Bontrager. Encourage you to come on back and join us again for another exciting conversation with the leaders of technology of today and of the future.